Welcome to Youtube Pedia. Discover the greatest stories from history, science, and beyond. If you're curious about the world, subscribe now and join our journey through knowledge. Let's get started. Aleister Crowley, the rise of the great beast. In the shadows of history, beyond the pages of conventional biographies, lies a man whose name still whispers through the corridors of the occult, Aleister Crowley. He has been called many things: a magician, a poet, a prophet, a madman, and even the most evil man in the world. But who was he really? In this first part of our deep dive into his life, we uncover the origins of the man who would go on to change modern mysticism forever. A tale that weaves intellect, rebellion, secret societies, and a thirst for power that knew no moral bounds. The early life born under a strange star. Edward Alexander Crowley was born on October 12, 1875 in Royal Leamington Spa, England, into a strict religious Christian family. His father was a preacher of the fundamentalist Plymouth Brethren, and young Aleister grew up surrounded by harsh doctrines, fire and brimstone sermons, and a deep disdain for anything worldly or pleasurable. But beneath the surface of this religious upbringing, a storm was brewing. Even as a child, Aleister showed signs of rebellion, questioning the blind faith of his family and challenging the rigid beliefs that imprisoned his spirit. When his father died, he inherited a large fortune and with it, freedom. Freedom to explore, to travel, to indulge in the forbidden, and to seek the secrets of the universe. Cambridge and the birth of a dark mind. Crowley's years at Trinity College, Cambridge, were filled with contradictions. He was a brilliant student with a love for literature, philosophy, and the natural sciences. But behind the academic facade, he led a double life, indulging in sexual freedom, drug experimentation, and the dark arts. It was during this period that Edward Alexander shed his old identity and embraced the name Aleister, a Celtic version of Alexander, more mysterious, more powerful, more magical. This was the beginning of his transformation from a curious scholar to a master of the occult. The call of the occult, initiation into the Golden Dawn. In the late 1890s, Crowley stumbled upon a secretive organization known as the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, a society that dabbled in ceremonial magic, alchemy, astrology, and mysticism. It was here that he found his true calling. Under the guidance of established magicians, he began learning the ancient arts, ascending through the ranks with alarming speed. But Crowley's hunger for power and control was too intense. He quickly clashed with other members, including the famous poet W.B. Yeats, and eventually broke away, determined to forge his own path, one darker, more chaotic, and entirely his own. Egypt, the revelation of the Lemma. In 1904, Crowley traveled to Cairo, Egypt with his wife Rose. What happened there would change the course of his life and the occult world forever. Inside a hotel room in Cairo, Crowley claimed to receive a supernatural communication from a being named Aiwass, who dictated to him a book known as the Book of the Law, a mystical text that proclaimed the birth of a new religion, the Lemma. Its core tenet: "Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law." This wasn't just a religion. It was a revolution against the established order, a manifesto of spiritual anarchy, self-deification, and liberation from moral constraints. With this new creed, Crowley declared himself the Great Beast 666, embracing the label of the villain, the heretic, the Dark Messiah. A man hunted by light and shadow. From this moment on, Crowley's life became a bizarre and dangerous dance between enlightenment and insanity. He continued his spiritual and magical experiments, founded mystical orders, and wrote countless books filled with arcane symbols and cryptic philosophies. He was celebrated by some as a visionary and damned by others as a Satanist. Newspapers dubbed him the wickedest man in the world. But was he truly wicked? Or was he a genius ahead of his time, misunderstood by a world too afraid to look into the shadows? Aleister Crowley, the Dark Legacy and Occult Empire. As the shadows of Aleister Crowley's life grew deeper, so did the mysteries surrounding him. By the early 20th century, he was no longer just a controversial poet or mountaineer. He had become something far more enigmatic. A living symbol of occult power, feared by many, misunderstood by most, and revered by an underground legion of followers. After establishing his own religion, the Lemma, with its central commandment, "Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law," Crowley declared himself the prophet of a new Eon, the Eon of Horus. According to him, this age was destined to be ruled by the strong, the awakened, and those brave enough to step outside the bounds of conventional morality. He claimed that a divine being named Aiwass dictated to him the Book of the Law, a cryptic and chilling manifesto that would become the heart of his teachings. Crowley immersed himself in ritual magic, summoning spirits, drawing symbols in blood, and engaging in dark ceremonies that blurred the line between devotion and madness. At the Abbey of the Lemma in Cefalu, Sicily, he created a cult-like temple where he and his followers practiced what he called magic with a K, a deliberate choice to distinguish it from stage illusion, and to emphasize its spiritual danger and power. The stories from that place are the stuff of nightmares. Cats were sacrificed, hallucinogens were consumed in excess, and rituals often involved shocking sexual practices. Locals whispered that demons roamed the hills and that the house was cursed. Eventually, the authorities expelled Crowley from Italy, citing moral outrage, drug use, and psychological manipulation. But by then, the myth had already taken root. They called him the wickedest man in the world, a label that Crowley embraced with a wicked grin. The British tabloids portrayed him as a devil worshipper, yet Crowley, ever the showman, used this notoriety to grow his influence. He declared that every man and every woman is a star, and claimed that society had been shackled by religion and guilt for too long. Despite his shocking reputation, Crowley was a man of contradictions. He wrote prolifically poetry, novels, essays, magical texts. He translated ancient works and redefined modern occultism. He inspired artists, musicians, and rebels alike. Even decades after his death in 1947, his presence lingers. The Beatles placed him on the Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band album cover. Led Zeppelin's Jimmy Page bought his former home near Loch Ness. David Bowie, Ozzy Osbourne, and countless others referenced his name. His fingerprints are all over pop culture's darker corners. But who was Aleister Crowley really? A madman high on delusion, a magician who saw too much, a prophet of rebellion, or just a man who dared to look beyond the veil and didn't flinch? To this day, no one truly knows. His writings remain cryptic, his teachings polarizing, and his life a puzzle of genius and madness stitched together by ritual, rebellion, and mysticism. One thing is certain: Crowley didn't just break the rules, he rewrote them. And maybe, just maybe, he opened doors that were never meant to be opened. If this story pulled you into the shadows of mystery, then make sure to like the video, drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to YouTube Pedia for more strange, powerful, and forbidden stories from history.